Tadhg, welcome back to the mother of all talk shows. I asked you last time if this was harming your career in any way. Is it now seriously harming your career? And if it is, what does that say about Ireland today?
First of all, thanks for having me back, and congratulations on your win. You're annoying all the right people.
Thank you.
I think, yeah, I mean, it's affected my career a little bit, but to be realistic about it, we're quite lucky in Ireland. Ireland is an outlier in Europe. As you know, I've got friends in Germany, I have friends in Britain, and I have friends in the US whose careers are destroyed by their pro-Palestine stance. It's not that extreme here, but there's subtle and not so subtle things I've noticed. Like a very small example is I used to pick up quite a lot of corporate work. I did like voiceovers would have been one of my main sources of income for about the last 5 years. Since the outbreak of the so-called war on October 7th, I haven't had an audition, I haven't had an email, I haven't booked a gig. None of the corporates are reaching out to me anymore. So it feels to me like if you're anti-genocide, you're bad for business. That certainly seems to be the case. But I'm very lucky, George. I have built up a following from people around the world now, and it means a lot to me, because you know the way in our part of the world, you're only a success if you've made it in Britain and the US. It's a completely Western colonial mentality. But I'm very proud to say that like most of my fan base and followers now are in the Middle East, and I love that, or the Arab diaspora in Canada and the US. So I'm very lucky on Patreon. I've got a lot of followers who are helping me out. So yeah, my career has been damaged a little bit, but I think we're at a point where personally I feel what's going on in Gaza right now is the situation is so grave, it's so extreme, that if you're thinking about your career right now, I think you've kind of lost your moral compass. And I try not to be judgmental about other people, but I don't think it's a time to be thinking about your career. It's gone beyond a social media thing for me now, because I have Palestinian friends in Cork, in Ireland, in Dublin, and beyond Ireland, I should say. And they're every day waking up, checking their phones to see if members of their family have died from starvation, if they've been assassinated. If I'm going to show them solidarity, both as a friend and as somebody with some sort of influence online, I think I need to be loud and proud about my support for their cause, and more importantly, the end to this unspeakable genocide that's being live streamed in real time that everybody knows about. So my career is not that important to me right now.
Well, very, very well said, Tadhg, and many people will be applauding you literally as well as metaphorically right now. You've become a bit of a hero. What drew you into this? Did you pay a lot of attention to the issue for long, or was it the extreme nature of this post-October 7 genocide that has moved you to make it such a major part of your life?
I feel like, I mean, as we spoke about before, I'm very proudly an Irish Republican, and Irish Republicanism for me, my friends in the North and my friends in the South, it's always been an internationalist thing. You know, we've shown support as Irish Republicans for Cuba, for South Africa. I think that's the beauty of Irish Republicanism, and I think it's why it kind of has sustained itself in terms of a global appeal and understanding, because unlike loyalism, it isn't insular. It is internationalist. So I think I've always been aware of what's going on in Palestine. I've always felt strongly about it. I probably didn't have an opportunity to do that much about it with my own work until one of the last so-called wars on Gaza. I think it would have been 2021. I had started making sketch comedy on my own then, and I did some sketches that did like a lot of numbers. So I suppose I would have entered into the social media war, as you say, in that period. But it was also a period where I reached out to people in the IADA camp and stuff, and I built relationships with Palestinians, which is the most important thing. Because, to go back to that point again, where it's not just a kind of an abstract concept when you become friendly with people who are actually going through a genocide. It's an extraordinary thing. It's as close as I can imagine to being witness to the so-called famine in our country, or during the conflict in the North, where you would actually be with people, you're going through it in real time. So when that happened, I think in 2021, I suppose I was drawn in. I became very passionate about it. And then in the outbreak post October 7th, as I say, it's gone on to a level where I actually didn't think it was possible for it to get to this level of murder and mayhem and organized mass starvation, and for the West not only to still be shrugging its shoulders and looking the other way, but to be aiding and abetting it and vocally supporting it. It's at a level where I feel like any reasonable person, Irish Republican or not, if you care about human beings, if you care about children, if you care about women, if you care about journalists, if you care about frontline workers, that you would just have to stop everything you're doing and go to that mentally and spiritually, you know, that you would just, everything that you could do would be with the people of Palestine right now. I don't understand how it's any other way. And I actually would love to use the opportunity to just say to people who have influence, particularly on Instagram and whatnot, if they haven't said something before, it's never too late to join the cause. I know Palestinians will be very grateful for you to do it. Nobody will be, where have you been? I don't think so anyway, and I'm obviously not going to speak for Palestinians, but we just need voices. We just need numbers. Like, please use your platform. You've got an opportunity to use your platform for the most extraordinary purpose you'll ever have the opportunity to do. Like, I urge people to do it. It's not too late.
Well, I won't hold my breath for Bono to join us on the international picket line, but it would be good if he did, even at this late stage. En passant, I should tell you that I met in the corridors of power this week Lord Taylor, John D. Taylor, the former Unionist MP, now peer, who I've travelled with in the Middle East, and who is as strong a supporter of the Palestinians in Gaza as you or me. So it isn't all unionists, it isn't all loyalists.
100%.
And I was very grateful. He's an old man now, but he hobbled after me on his walking stick to congratulate me, and to congratulate me not just on my election, but on the role I've been playing over the last 5.5 months to defend the poor people of Gaza. It's only right that I should say that. Now, you are an Irish Republican. As half an Irishman, so am I. How should we evaluate the Sinn Féin visit to the White House? I'm in a bind about it. I don't support Sinn Féin. I used to, but I don't now, since they became a bit too Blairite for me. But I support their aim, and I know they're the only people who are going to bring that aim to fruition. So I don't want to attack them, I don't want to weaken them, but I find it very difficult to accept the argument that you should hand a shamrock to the blood-stained hand of Joe Biden. Where do you stand on that?
I don't want to echo your sentiments too closely, at the risk of just not having a very fruitful discussion or debate, but I feel very close to what you're saying. I mean, I would be, you know, I wear my heart on my sleeve. I would be traditionally a Sinn Féin supporter, or at least an Irish Republican. I would vote for the party in Ireland that I feel would be most likely to fulfill the dream of a united Ireland, being completely honest. That's what got me interested in politics. That's where I've come from. I have many friends in Sinn Féin, but I kind of feel like I'm not a member of the party. I probably should say that. I'm just a lowly comedian. I'm just a joker in the pack with an interest in politics. But I would say that if you want something to be better, you should be open in your assessment of it. And I think in this particular instance, Sinn Féin are making the wrong moral decision, I feel. And I think if you were to just be mercenary about it for a moment, I think it's potentially the wrong tactical decision as well. I mean, I know you speak about Labour and the Tories being two cheeks of the same arse. I mean, we have the original arse in Ireland, like the most long-running arse in kind of European politics, in terms of Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael literally carving up the state since its foundation and ruling it themselves in this kind of meandering morass of centre-right, so-called centre-left. And we have an opportunity for Sinn Féin to lead the first leftist government in the South ever, which is something that I probably would have dreamed of since I was in school. But I think the stance on Palestine, which offers a lot of significant substance, I would say that, And like you, I'm very eager not to be too critical of a party that is offering people like me and much younger than me an opportunity to get Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael out of government. Because in terms of housing, in terms of health, they have proved themselves inept and completely out of touch with the needs of ordinary people in Ireland. So I would love to see a leftist government in Ireland. That would be a dream. But Sinn Féin's young vote, I think, particularly, is not. It's actually quite tenuous, in my opinion. So I would traditionally vote for Sinn Féin because I'm an Irish Republican. A lot of young people are voting for Sinn Féin, in my opinion, in my experience, because they feel like they're going to deliver proper housing. They're going to sort out health. They're going to do the things that young people kind of care about. I think most young people that I'm meeting at marches anyway are so appalled by what's going on in Gaza and have Arab and Palestinian friends now in Ireland. The fact is that the Palestinians you speak to do not want Irish politicians from any party to go to the White House on Patrick's weekend. That is a fact. We don't expect any better from the government parties. I certainly wouldn't. They're always going to go on a jolly and, respect their own corporatist interests in doing so. I think Palestinians expected more of Sinn Féin, and I still think it's not too late to do the right thing. I think that the party, has said something like, Palestinians will understand that we have to put our priorities first, when Irish unity is obviously the main priority of Sinn Féin, and going to Washington is traditionally a good thing to do, to pursue Irish unity. I'm talking to Palestinian friends here, and the fact is they don't understand. They don't understand. And to go back to what I said earlier about internationalism, solidarity with substance means that when your ally, when somebody, a similarly oppressed, colonized group of people who you have this solidarity and kinship with for a long, long time, are in the situation that Palestinians are in right now, I feel like solidarity with substance means that you put your own private goals and desires to the side, and you actually offer genuine fellowship to the oppressed. And I feel like it's going to be a moral and a tactical error.
Tadhg, you mentioned the corporate work has dried up. How can our audience support your work? How can they see you? Where do they find you?
I'm on all the usual old nonsense, Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and TikTok and all that. And I have a Patreon account. If people don't like Patreon, there's a PayPal as well. But what I would say is, if you're finding it hard, because I think a lot of pro-Palestine people are being silenced right now, if you're finding it hard to share my stuff, I get a lot of messages from people saying, I can't share stuff, you're being shadow banned or blocked or whatever. Just share another pro-Palestine account. Just keep sharing and prioritize Palestinians. Because if we keep supporting each other, we can kind of create a stand and break through the tech fascism that's going on as well at the moment. So let's just stick with each other and not get too bogged down on prioritizing one or two people. We're a tribe. So thank you. And thanks, George, for your time.
You're quite a man, Tadhg. Thank you very much indeed for joining us again on another of All Talk Shows.